Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And we are back with Andree. Excited to have her here as an empowerment coach, the empowered living space, right? It's empowerment coaching. She does energy healing and so much more. If you want to reach out to her personally, please do so on her website. It's spelled ANDREE.com, correct? Did I get it right?
Andrea. Yep.
And from Madison,
A lot of vowels.
Wisconsin, she's joining us here today. Excited to have her here. Just remind us a little bit, since there are new listeners out there, a little bit about what you do, please. Thank you.
I would love to. Yes, I am a mom. I have 2 kids, 4 and 6. And in my momming, I have decided I also want to support moms in many of the things that I have gone through. So I'm really here to support moms who are yearning for more out of life. They just don't know how to get there. So for today's episode, I want to key in a little bit on maybe those who want to improve their relationship with their kids, or maybe look at that a little bit differently.
Yep, absolutely. I think we all do, and all can. Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. And I have taken the approach to change my relationship with my kids that I am going to change myself, not try to force my kids to change. So as I've looked at and shifted some of my beliefs, healed my pain, my relationships to them has changed. It feels more full. It feels more purposeful. I yell less. I guide more. I find moments of fun that I didn't know I could tap into. And so that's what I want to talk about today. And in general, as an empowerment coach, I support moms who maybe one of your goals is to improve your relationship to your kids. And so we talk about the belief systems, the patterns that might be impacting those relationships, so that you can then choose ones that support a more empowering relationship. And then as an energy healer, I also support moms, still with the moms, and by helping you release the emotional pain behind those patterns that can get in the way.
Great. And of course, we all need to work on this. And just want to point out your phone number as well before we continue, if you don't mind. And we got the website out there, but just give us the number as well. Thank you.
Yep. Phone number 608-338-3749.
Perfect. Great. So do you want to talk a little bit about this? And of course, the belief systems we'll get into?
Yes, we'll get into belief systems. And so these are really, really important just in coaching in general. One of the quotes that I love around this is from Wayne Dyer, and he says, if you change the way you look at things, then the things that you look at change. And so one of the big impacts that I've had personally is as I change how I'm viewing my role as a parent. So we'll get into it a little bit more, but as a perfectionist parent, wanting everything to be perfect all the time, trying to control every little thing, that wasn't working. And so I really had to look at, what do I believe about my role as a mom, and how I'm here to support my kids. And looking at our belief systems is really helpful because but it's tricky. They're under the surface of our general awareness. And so we don't always know what's there or that they're there, and yet they can guide how we behave and interact with others. I've seen it said up to 90 to 95% of our day-to-day interactions and actions are driven by those unconscious belief systems. And so if we don't learn to plug into them and see them, it can be really hard to change them. So many of us come out of childhood with a set of beliefs that if we don't challenge them, they will guide us for the rest of our life. Yet, when we learn to examine them, it gives us the power to choose differently if those beliefs are not supportive of the life we want. And so that's helpful. That's one of the things I do as a coach, is we get to, what is the belief under the thought? What is the belief under the action? Is that supporting you? Is it not supporting you? And if it's not supporting what it is that you want, how can we establish a more supportive belief system that's more in alignment with where you're trying to go and how you're trying to build, in this case, relationships? And so these are some of the new beliefs or ways that I've looked at my role as a mom and my relationship with my kids, that for me, they just feel lighter. So again, I was really one of those perfectionist moms, and I'm really looking to get away from that idea of perfection and really just looking for what feels light and easy breezy. And so I'm offering those today for anyone who wants to just understand what my coaching might look like, or for any moms out there who might just be looking for a different way. You don't always have to take what I say, just take what works for you and leave the rest. This is how I view the world. That doesn't mean it's how everyone has to view the world, but I'm here to just share what I found works for me.
Great. And did
Yep.
you also want to share a little bit further about some other belief systems, or are we go
Hmm.
moving on to the next level? I'm sorry. I just
Yep.
want to make
Nope.
sure we're covering everything. The
Yeah.
next one,
So yep.
next
Yeah,
topic.
we've got
I don't want to
the
jump ahead.
five. Yeah.
Thank
Nope.
you.
We've
Thank
got the
you.
five that I wanted to talk
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Okay, good. So all beliefs. Let's
Hmm.
start with them. Go for it.
Yes. Belief number
We are
one.
not
So I've
here.
got,
Oh yeah, this is a good
we're,
one.
yeah, we are not here to control our kids. We are here to guide them. So I used to think that my kids were born like a lump of clay and it was my job to shape them. And so making them get all the extracurriculars, the good grades, the good manners, all those things that society says, quote unquote, good kids are.
Yep.
And that tied into a lot of self-worth for me. I was only a good mom if my kids turned out well, and so it was
Mm-hmm.
really like how it was this grading system on me as a human being on how well I thought I could control and shape my kids. Instead of seeing them as lumps of clay, I've now decided to see them as they're this perfect shining light. They already have the energy that they need. It's my job to not throw clay on them. It's my job to allow that beautiful light to shine. And so now my aim, instead of trying to control their every move, how they should act, what they should wear, what they should do, I'm really more working to aim to guide them. So just respectful interactions, how to be a contributing member of the family. So things like picking up our toys, how to accept and love themselves however they authentically show up. And so I've found for me, there's been a lot of peace with this. And
Yep.
again, my goal is always how can I make this easy and feel better? And it's really taken the edge off of me as a mom, trying to force my kids into some sort of arbitrary box that society says kids should look like. And so I see it more instead of a molding, it's more of a natural unfolding. And so I'm here to guide that process more than I am to mold and shape, which is how I went into parenting.
Yep. Oh yeah. So did I.
Yep, yeah.
Still am.
So funny, I know.
I love her on the same level. Mine are 5 and 7 years,
4 and
4 and 6.
6,
Yeah,
yep,
I
right
get it.
there.
Girl, I'm walking with you, step and step,
Mhm.
every belief through. Go ahead.
Yep,
Go
that's
ahead.
right, yep. And number 2, so jumping into number 2, it's sort of an extension of number 1, but I really believe that all of us, Jill, myself, our kids, we're all here on our own spiritual path. And so I see the purpose of life is life on earth is to learn and to grow and become the highest expression of ourselves. And for me, that's the same for our kids. And so I could maybe look at adults that way for a while, but I tended to think my kids were these little beings that needed to be saved. But I no longer think that that's true. I think that they're here. They're here to experience and to grow. And for me, my biggest growth has come out of some of my biggest challenges. And so again, this comes into some of the control. I'm trying not to control my kids into always having good moments or trying to, I'm trying to guide them through some of their hard moments necessarily, but also not deny them the opportunity to learn some of the things that they're actually here to learn on a soul level. And so my daughter, for example, she's really hard on herself. She'll, if she can't get something, she'll throw her pen across the room and say, I'm stupid, I'm never going to get this. And I see her, she's having a bit of a hard time making friends at school. And so old me would have wanted to control all of those things and try to
Mm-hmm.
just make it right for her. But now I'm looking at it from a bigger picture perspective and seeing she's probably here because that's important for her soul growth on some level, for her to play in that experience so that way she can get through the experience and learn something on the other end. Because if everything comes in and it's perfect, we never learn and we never grow.
Nope,
And so
exactly.
that is belief number 2 that again has allowed me to stop some of that angsty controlling behavior and just allow things to be a little bit easier and a little, she'll find it on her own time and I can guide and I can share, but I'm not here to try to control her experience.
Yep. And the next we
Yep.
have.
We've got 3 more. Yes. So belief number 3 is happy kids. So a lot of people, we grow up and we say we want our kids to be happy. For me, I now look at that as supporting their natural energy.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as I discussed before, our kids are born as a shining light. And so I want to figure out how can I allow that to express as naturally as possible so that they will grow up and they will stay as true to themselves as possible instead of building a personality around who they are not. Because most of us grown-ups on our growth path, those of us who are on a sort of self-actualization growth path, what we're really trying to do is just accept the parts of us that we were told years ago that wouldn't be accepted by society. So the parts of us that we were told were too much or too quiet or not good enough. And so what I want to do with my kids is not to have them have so much to undo when they get to be grown-ups, and try to support their natural energy as much as possible. And so that could be their movement. Some kids have a high movement. Some kids have a big need for play and fun. Some kids need lots of rest. Some kids might be really inquisitive. And I'm really working to make sure that I allow that and support that, and don't say things like, you ask too many questions, or, you're lazy, why are you resting? Because some of us, me included, we need lots more rest than other kids. And so I'm looking at them from a perspective of, what is your natural energy? How does your natural energy want to express? So again, looking at my daughter, she loves to do art. And so I'm supporting her in her natural art and her drive towards that. And some things she does are actually really beautiful. It was around Valentine's Day, and we went and got this wooden, it spelled love, Love, and she painted it, and it was actually amazing. I was like, you did that?
Beautiful
And
thought,
we
right?
still,
How
yeah,
thoughtful.
and we have it up still as decoration. And then she does other things. We went to a kids museum, and she decorated like this egg carton thing with a rainbow ribbon and a pipe cleaner handle, and it looked kind of strange. She's not listening to this, so she's not going to know I
Hopefully
said that,
not. Yeah,
but she
yeah.
loved it. No, but she loved it. She wanted to put it in her art fair, and she hung it up, and was like, okay, I'm going to support that too. That's you doing art. I'm not going to try to say, that doesn't look like art, or, you can't pay the bills doing art when you get older, so maybe you should look for something else. I'm trying to support her and my kids in their natural energy. And so, again, for me, when I look at how do I want to parent and what do I want for my kids in their future, I used to say happy. I think that was the default answer for many of us parents. Now I say I want my kids to be authentic, because when we're authentic, when we feel good in our skin, when our true nature is shining, I do believe that most of us are happy when that happens. But I look at it, I take a different angle with that.
Son, thank you. Yeah. Wow. So
Yeah.
are they off today
Yeah.
for the Jewish holidays?
Nope,
Your
they are
kids?
in school.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here in New York, we're
Yeah.
off. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I was gonna say, yeah, we're not on the East Coast,
oh,
so
I thought you said that when they didn't want them to listen. I thought you meant they were actually there.
oh
I was like, oh,
nope.
okay.
Oh no, they would be on screen if they were here. They would
God, oh, I
because
know,
yeah.
I know how that is working from home and
Mm-hmm.
stuff too. Oh, for sure, for sure. All right. So yeah, happy kids
Mm-hmm.
means supporting their natural energy, which they have a lot of. Oh my gosh,
That's
a
right.
lot of,
Oh
and they
my
also have a
gosh,
lot of
yes.
emotions as well.
Yes, yeah, and that's number 4. That's the other one of the other big aha moments is I've always been so belief number 4 is in emotional moments. I'm now looking at it as, can I be the antidote? And so growing up, I've always been pretty sensitive energetically and emotionally, and I didn't really have the words until the last few years to understand that. But I can pick up on emotions, and many of us can, just to different levels. I think when you think about the idea of you could cut the tension with a knife, like what we're feeling is a rough emotional situation in a room. And so we're all sensitive emotionally on some level. Emotions are energy. I've been a little bit more sensitive, and I've been learning to deal with that. And so previously, when my kids would get upset, I would get upset because I would feel their emotion and I would amplify their emotion. And then we'd all just sort of be down in the hole together, just sort of going at it, and perpetuating the tough emotion. Where now what I look at, since I look at the world from an energetic perspective, I say, well, if they're having a rough emotion right now, that emotion is at the lower end of the spectrum, the lower vibrational end of the spectrum. And so what I can do is be the antidote and offer them a higher vibrational something to tap into, because energy the higher vibrational energy loves to sort of pull up the lower vibrational energy if there's something higher in the room to pull up to. And so what I have found is that it helps them calm down faster if I can remain calm. And sometimes I'll whisper things to them like, you are loved, you are safe, just because those are sort of our core scary things is I'm not loved and I'm not safe. And so I'll remind them, you're loved, you're safe. And it helps them pull out of those emotions a lot faster. So I'm not trying to change the emotion. I'm not trying to tell them that their emotions are wrong. I'm really just trying to offer them a safe space to have the emotion and feel the emotion, and then to come back to knowing that I love them and that they are safe. But this was a hard one for me to get into because, again, emotions are contagious, and me being empathic, it would really rile me up for a while. And so it took a while for me to understand, and also reducing the triggers and working through the triggers, working through my emotional boundaries to get to a point where I feel like I can do this and support them in this way.
And also, this is great. Just to remind everyone, Andrea, could you remind us of the website, how we can reach out to you? And
Yep.
we'll continue with our other beliefs.
Yes, absolutely. Website Andrea Andree, ANDREA.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And we're on our final belief here. Yeah. All
Yes,
right.
we
We
are.
have more to talk about after that, though. Yes.
That's right. Yep, we always do. So belief number 5 is my kids are supposed to trigger me. And so I first heard this from Dr. Shafali. She's a conscious parenting teacher, and I've taken it to heart. And it's really, again, I'm looking to make parenting easier, soften the edges, if you will, on sort of the parent-child relationship. And so for me, I look at one of the purposes of us being in these bodies on earth at this time is to learn and grow and be the highest expression of ourselves. And one of the ways we do that is by healing or releasing the pain of the past. Because as we can release that pain, more of that higher expression of ourselves can come through. And so Wayne Dyer, I'm bringing him in again today.
Your
He likes
favorite.
to, apparently, he's got the theme of the day. He likes to say that the people that push our buttons, which for many of us, is our kids, they're actually our true soulmates because they're the ones that show us where we're still playing in our pain and not standing in the highest version of us. And so I think we used to look at like enlightened people. They were the ones that went off on a mountain and they meditated and they were the enlightened ones. But to me, that seems like the easy path because when you're not in society, you're not getting triggered. You don't know where your pain is. You're not healing from your pain. And so I actually look at us down here playing, us moms especially, we are the true masters these days because we are triggered left, right, and center by our kids. And so if we can take the approach that those triggers are actually for our highest good because they're showing us where our pain is, they're showing how we can heal, where we can grow, then our kids are actually doing us a service. And so when I get triggered by my kids, I go into that pain, I allow it to express, I release it, and then I actually, like, I appreciate my kids in that moment because as I got triggered, as I saw the pain, it allowed me to drop one of those emotional sandbags that I was carrying around and bring another small part of me back in. And so, again, with everything I've talked about today, this perspective has really taken the edge off parenting for me. And so instead of, you hear moms who like to talk about how their kids are on their nerves all the time and they're constantly doing this and that. And I get it. That's the narrative that we grew up with. And I'm here because I always want to show a different way and a better way or a more empowering way. And so to me, when I look at my kids are here to help me heal, that again, there's a softness to that. And there's a beauty because as they show me my pain, as I heal from my pain, then over time our relationship gets better and better because I don't have that pain sitting in the middle. I'm showing up more authentically, which is giving them the space to show up more authentically. And it's actually just win-win for everybody. So that is it. Those are the 5 perspectives I wanted to talk about today, which again, I like to share those because one, in a coaching relationship, that's one of the things that we want to do. We want to uncover, well, what is the belief system that's behind that behavior? Why do you think, and again, using me as an example, why do you think you're trying to control your kids so much? Or what is perfect to you? And why are you trying to do something perfectly? And talking about that and asking, does that support you? Is there something that might support you a little bit differently? And so these are some of the shifts that I've made that I'm offering today. One, to give you a sample of me as a mom and a coach, but two, for those who are just here listening, maybe not interested in coaching at this time, for you to maybe just think and chew on, and they might be in support of your life at this moment.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
could you talk specifically about some of the parents that you're working with and give us some
Mhm.
updates on some of your clients? You don't have to use their
Yep.
names, but some of the things you're working that we can empathize and relate to.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm trying to think. So I don't have any current clients, but I do have a Facebook group, the Empowered
Yep.
Moms Club, where some of these things come up. And so one of the things that had come up, which is where I got some of the inspiration on this, was, man, my 3-year-old is just driving me nuts right now, super emotional. And so again, that's one of the, all right, let's talk about this. Why is your 3-year-old
Yep.
you know, acting that way, which the action to me is normal and natural. That's one of the things that I've had to learn, is all of this is part of their growth process. But then let's look at, well, how can you reframe the issue and look at the issue a little bit differently? And so instead of feeling like they're constantly pushing your buttons, well, what buttons are they pushing? Is there something there that wants to be looked at and healed? And can we heal it? Because if we can, then the more they do that same behavior, the less you are going to have that cringy, painful reaction to it. And the more you're going to be able to see it from another perspective and support them in whatever it is that they need supporting. And so this is, when I put this question out there, that was one of the topics that came in. And I thought, oh, this would be a great topic and a great episode on how maybe we can help moms shift how they're looking at some of those moments.
And for those of us who do get triggered,
Yep,
which it does happen, and it
it
still
does
will
happen.
happen to the best of us,
It
um,
does.
breathe, right?
Breathe. Yep.
You
Yep.
believe in breathing, and that could
Breathe.
take count to like three. What did you suggest last
Yep.
time? You talked about breathing a little bit.
Breathing and feeling the emotion. So
Got it.
yeah, that was one of the things when I was working. I did a class on Mind Valley with Dr. Shafali, and I remember she talked about the pregnant pause. So before you react, you pause. And for me, what I would do would be, I would pause and I would think, well, I'm not supposed to yell right now. And then I would yell. And so breathing helps you if you have the willpower to pause before you can react. The other thing I try to do in the moment, or I come back to it afterwards, is I tune into my body and I feel, because the reason we get reactive is there's this pressure that's building up in our system, like an emotion that wants to come up. And so ultimately, breathing through that, and I breathe in a way, I imagine the emotion in my body is like this lump of liquid or goo or whatever it feels like. And I imagine it getting bigger and bigger and expanding and bringing it to the surface of my skin, so that way I can feel it fully. And so breathe and feel, breathe and feel. We've been conditioned out of feeling our emotions, which we've got a bunch of layered, suppressed emotions in our system. So now, as we're all trying to undo all of that work. And so the best thing we can do is breathe and feel, breathe and feel. Keep breathing into it. Some might say release, like on the out breath. But what's really important to do it also is tune into your body, feel that emotion, make it as big as possible. And again, we've been we're all scared of our emotions, but really if we just sit in it for 60 to 90 seconds, it's gone. So the more we can learn to do that, the more we can actually release some of those triggers.
Good, because I have a lot of triggers to be released
Yep.
as well.
We all do. I've been working on this for years, Jill, and I'm finally at a point where I'm starting to feel a little bit of peace from it. So
Good.
we all started, yeah.
It's possible to recover. It's
It
possible to
is.
get through.
Yes.
And the
Yes.
best part is, no, you're not alone. People have
You're
been
not
parenting, having
alone.
children forever.
Yes.
Not to
Yeah.
say we all know how to do it right. Clearly not. That's why we need
Right.
help, like from coaches like yourself. But even coaches don't have it right. Not all.
Mhm.
We're imperfect human beings, and
Yep.
that's okay.
That's
Um,
right.
but to know that we're not alone and that everyone's going through
Yeah.
the same things we are. I mean, it would
Yes.
be unheard of to have a child that's perfect, listens,
Right.
eats
Yes.
right,
Oh my
helps
gosh.
themselves.
Yeah.
Like, is that possible? Have you ever found anyone
Yeah.
with a child that's so amazing? No, it's
Right.
their maturity level. They can't. It's just
Yes.
right.
I would have more kids if I had one of those kids. I definitely did not have one of those kids. So,
Yep, yep.
mhm,
Oh my gosh. But the struggle is real, but know that you're not
mhm.
alone and you have
That's
techniques
right.
and ways that you can
I
guide through it
do.
and get through it. So,
That's right.
oh, any other tips for
Yep.
us that you want to share with us? Give us some insight, what else we could be doing?
What else can you be doing? Yeah, so if you want to start your day, one thing I think I've brought this tip before, but I'll remind it for anyone who might be new. So one thing I do when I remember, again, everything is hectic when you have kids, but
Yeah.
I'll try to start my day sometimes with just 5 minutes in the morning. So I will tune into my body. And if I feel any sort of anxiousness or anxiety in my body, I imagine it melting away into the middle of the earth. And then I ask for, what do I want to feel? So I want to feel peace. Let's just use peace as an example. I imagine a light of peace just coming in through the crown of my head, filling my body. And so I sit with that. I don't try to, I ask, I'd like to feel the feeling of peace. And you don't have to control anything. Energy follows our direction. And so as soon as you put that out there, the energy will wash over you. And just imagine, I set the intention to feel peace in my day and just start with that and just see how your day changes. Imagine in front of you your day, how your day would look if it was more peaceful. Because the more we learn to play with the energy and that we can actually impact the energy and intentionally put it out in our day, the more our world can start to shift in that way.
And it's all about the shift and we could all get
That's
through
right.
it. And we're out of time. How
Mhm.
does that happen?
I don't know. This always goes so fast with you.
Gosh, I'm like, how's that talk for 28 minutes already? Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Remind us how we can reach out to you. And of course, best forms of contact. Thank you.
Yes. Yep. Website Andrea Andree, ANDREA, ANDREE.com. From there, you will find my email, hello@andreaandree.com. I have a link to my Empowered Moms Club Facebook group if you're interested in joining that. I have a link to follow me on LinkedIn. Those are where I am most active. And there is 3 ways to tap into the authentic you free guide if that's something that you're interested in, and getting on my email list, which then will keep you apprised of upcoming events from me as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. You have a
Thank you,
fantastic day
Jill. Thanks,
and
you
looking
too.
forward to next week. Have a great week and good luck. Kids come
Thank
home.
you.
How many more hours for you? What time do they get up?
My daughter comes home in just under 2 hours.
All right. Good
Yep.
luck. Same with the
Thank you.
grind. I got
That's
mine home
right.
today. Have a
Oh,
great
good luck.
day. Thank you, hon.
Yep,
Bye
you too,
bye.
Jill. Bye.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.